Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Superman and Lois Season 3. So we are now under the 1 month mark until Superman and Lois is back for its third season, with us also getting a new trailer over the past, few days, but it depends when you watch it, maybe the past week. And I didn't actually do a video on that trailer just really due to the fact that it just didn't really actually show that much new stuff outside of some new Fortress of Solitude stuff, which was really cool to see. But outside of some minor stuff with Jonathan and Jordan and some stuff with the Cushings that didn't seem that interesting, I didn't think it was really worth going over because it was just the same stuff as we saw in the trailer we got a few weeks ago. But we could get another trailer for this season in a couple of weeks leading up to the season premiere, maybe. But then again, maybe the reason that there was minimal new footage in that trailer from the other day was because they don't want to spoil anything. Maybe they think, oh, well, we have this thing we could show which is really cool, but it might be a bit spoilery, so they don't want to show it, which would be fair enough. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens, but yeah, there's a new trailer. I just didn't think it was worth going over, specifically. But in this video, as you can tell from the title, we are going over some stuff which confused me first when I initially first saw it, but then someone noted something which could maybe link to some world building in Superman and Lois, potentially. I honestly don't think it is any sort of world building, but some stuff does potentially line up, so I guess it's worth a discussion. But before we get into that, there was some talk and drama, I guess you could put it, about Superman and Lois only having 13 episodes for this season. Now, I assume that it would be getting 15 episodes like the previous two seasons because the initial filming dates lined up with 15 episodes, but it's pretty rare the updated filming dates, which come out later, really ever get as much attention as the estimated ones that come out first, which most people connected to 15 episodes, which is now turned out to be false. It's only 13. So yeah, Superman and Lois is, yes, only getting 13 episodes for this season, but that does line up with most of the other shows on the CW. I think there is only 2 shows on the network that are getting more than 13 episodes this season, I think, and 13 was apparently the number they had going into the season. This wasn't something that was decided a month or two ago, so it's not going to affect the story or the flow of episodes. This is what they planned. Now, this could honestly be a good thing because I've always felt personally like Superman and Lois has always felt like an episode or two long for the stories it has done, especially season 1, but this is a good segue. So they have 13 episodes and they are currently filming their third last episode of the season, that being episode 11, where we have some set photos and information coming from. Now, of course, spoiler alert, there is some spoilers, I guess, to an extent because it's showing you something that has not been confirmed by the CW and stuff, so just a general spoiler alert. It's up to you if you want to keep going, but if you are, keep going. There's nothing major here, by the way. There's nothing major in my opinion, but I guess anything that's unknown is a spoiler, so just there's your warning. But if you are continuing on, let me know your thoughts, opinions, and all that stuff in the comments section down below, and what you think could be happening here, or if you think something's happening different than how I'm explaining it. Just let me know your thoughts down there. I'm always curious. And as per usual, all this stuff is coming from Canada Graph, so the link to his blog post where this is coming from, where there'll be more photos. I'm only going to use a handful, the ones that are relevant, so there'll be more photos and information on his blog post, so the link to that will be in the description down below. So over the past couple of days, not sure how long ago, as I don't know when I'm putting out this video exactly, but I guess within the past few days, Superman and Lois was doing a public shoot for episode 11, as I said before. Now, don't have an episode title at this point, it's just episode 11, so yeah. Now, this was in a downtown setting of Metropolis, which at first I wasn't sure about, but then in some of the photos, you can see Mannheim Towers, but it does appear to be in a bit of a dodgy part of Metropolis. We can confirm it's Metropolis because there was a Metropolis police car there in the the set photos and where they were filming and stuff like that. And I mean, Mannheim Towers, you'd expect it to be in Metropolis. Now, whether this part of Metropolis is crime occupied or just not a very well kept part of town by the government within Metropolis, that's up in the air. They might keep the upper side of Metropolis, where I guess more rich people would live, they keep that nice and clean, but downtown where it's a bit lower economical and stuff like that, hey, you don't want to put too much funding into cleaning those streets, at least not too much. But with the Mannheim Towers stuff that we can see there, obviously this is connected to Bruno Mannheim, or maybe his dad, but I guess at this moment in time, Bruno Mannheim, you should assume he's leading the operations. And of course, Bruno is one of the antagonizing forces for this season. And from what we know, he is sort of supposed to be looked up at and praised upon by the average Joes of Metropolis, the people that live in this area and stuff like that. He is seen as a good guy, a philanthropist, all that good stuff that you'd want. So Mannheim Towers is probably maybe lower cost housing, if not maybe completely free housing for lower income families and residents of not Smallville, of Metropolis. So that's probably what Mannheim Towers is, but I don't know. Then again, maybe it could be Bruno Mannheim comes across at the beginning of this season as a good guy to these people in these like lower economical areas, and then as we get further into the season, maybe he buys all this stuff to put in Mannheim Towers, which is a bit more elitist. It could probably go either way. This is episode 11, towards the end of the season, so this could maybe be him being a bad guy to these people that praised him earlier on. But Superman, or Tyler Hoechlin, who plays Superman, was on set in this area, but it wasn't just him, like talking to a vacant space or talking to a brick wall. There was another character on set, a female character who was being referred to as, I think, Paya? I think that's how it would be said, like, I guess Princess Leia, but just with a P instead of an L, I guess, even though based off what they were also called, maybe it's pronounced differently, which we'll bring up. But yeah, that leads into the next part, and that's that this was not the overly interesting part, that Superman's up against this Paya person. It's what the character was also referred to on the storyboards for this episode that they were shooting, which was Onomatopoeia. That's 100% the interesting part. Onomatopoeia. That's what they were being referred to on the storyboards. And we will get back to that name in a second, but in this scene with Superman in this Paya or Pia character, whichever way you want to pronounce it, there were wind machines blowing wind everywhere with this Pia character or Paya seeming to do these odd looking actions that were impacting Superman physically and sort of like pushing him backwards and throwing him around and stuff like that, with her then collapsing to the ground in pain and Superman looking very concerned. Now, when we look at this Paya character, she looks sick. She has these very like sickly veins around her head and like some sort of like discoloration on her face. Like something is up, something's wrong here, and whatever is making her sick is probably what is giving her these abilities. Now, is this X-Kryptonite? Has it made its way to Metropolis? Because we know it was in Smallville last season, it was impacting the community there, but has it potentially made its way to Metropolis? And we know that it was giving people powers, so is this what she's got it from? Now, we will come back to that later in the video, but just keep that in your mind because I just have a feeling that's what's going on. Now, Onomatopoeia, who the hell is that? Now, in the comics, they are seen as a Green Arrow villain and has had like run-ins with Batman as well. Now, they are just like a serial killer that targets vigilantes. That's pretty much, hence Green Arrow and Batman being the heroes that have sort of had to deal with them in the past. Now, it was never really confirmed in the comics from my memory, or from what I can remember at the very least, whether they were a metahuman or not, though their powers might have given off that feel that they might have been. But they used to make these noises that would imitate certain actions or things happening around them, like saying blam or bang or something when a gun went off, or things like that, because that is what onomatopoeia is. It's like words that resonate or like imitate certain sounds. Now, this character was created by Kevin Smith. Yes, that Kevin Smith, when he was writing comics, and he has said that this is a character he didn't really think would work in live action. Like, he wouldn't do it. It was a character that worked really well in comic books because you can have those words pop up on the page. But in live action, how does that work? It would just come off as like maybe super weird, but in the comics it came off in like a bit more of like a cool and interesting way. So the show here, if this is a take on onomatopoeia and that character based off what they were writing on the storyboards, maybe it's like a telekinetic type of villain that if they say certain words, like that is what happens to the person they are saying it to. So if they say wham or something like that, as in like imitating a punch or being hit or something like that, Superman gets hit by a telekinetic force of sorts. That would be a way to do it, if that is maybe what is happening and that is this character. But it is interesting that the shortened version of this character's name, this woman, is Pia or Paya, and then on the storyboards they have onomatopoeia written there as well. So it's a really interesting name choice if it's not connected to this Green Arrow villain. I've just got to say that. Now, I did see some people wondering if this maybe could connect to this Earth's Oliver Queen and maybe even Diggle. As I said, this villain is a Green Arrow villain in the comics at origin. And I would probably say no. Stephen Amell is in Vancouver at the moment where they filmed Superman and Lois for a convention. So the timing is pretty suited for this theory. Also, he maybe could be up there to also maybe do some stuff for the Flash finale, which is filming right now as well. But in regards to the Superman and Lois side, I just don't think it will. I mean, he's meant to be dead on this Earth, so I guess it'd have to be a flashback if they're doing anything where he would show up. And as I said, this character of Pia or Paya seems to be infected by something, whether it is X-Kryptonite or something else like that. They look extremely sick. This is probably why Superman looks so concerned in the set photos as well. He knows something is wrong and that this isn't just like some random villain looking to cause trouble, which would be why you'd even try and connect it back to the potential Green Arrow from the past on this Earth. This seems like a completely new person that's only doing this because they're sick. So yeah, though I think people would love for them to maybe connect it with Oliver Queen and Diggle in the past and stuff, I just don't think that's going to happen. Unless there was a person that did this in the past against Green Arrow of this Earth, and this person just has similar powers, so they go with that name. I don't know, but it just seems very, very unlikely. Now, Mannheim Towers, just a last thing to talk about in this video. Mannheim Towers, are they laced with X-Kryptonite? As I said, we still have that intentional, not accidental, but intentional loose thread from last season where we don't know who is fully behind the X-Kryptonite stuff within Smallville and that whole distribution plant that was there, that Jordan, you know, when he first showed Lois that he had these powers and stuff, was able to sort of stop and take down and everything like that. Was it Bruno Mannheim? It was something out of Smallville that was controlling this. So maybe he uses X-Kryptonite, as in Bruno Mannheim, to power Mannheim Towers as well, because we saw last season that they used X-Kryptonite to power, was it Natalie's suit? I think it might have been Natalie's suit, or maybe it was John Henry Irons' suit as well. They used the X-Kryptonite to power those suits. So obviously you could use it to power Mannheim Towers if they want like a pretty, I guess, almost free source of electricity, and maybe like a little piece of X-Kryptonite could power an entire building for a year. Who knows exactly what it is. But the people that are around it could get sick from it and get powers from it, like we saw last season as well as in season 1. So they're not only getting some like sort of like radiation poisoning, if you want to call it, from the X-Kryptonite, they're also getting these powers that they can't control, which is what we could be seeing with this Pia or Paya character in these set photos. So that's a decent theory. I'd assume if Mannheim Towers aren't some elitist thing that Bruno Mannheim is doing to sort of like run people out, then maybe it is like, you know, it is like the community stuff, and like it's being powered by the X-Kryptonite, or just in this general area because X-Kryptonite's being used, it's still infecting this area, putting off radiation, and people are still getting sick. So I just think that's what's happening. It lines up with some stuff from last season that was meant to lead into this season. So I'm going to stick with that theory. So let's see what happens when this season does start in just under a month from now. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on all the stuff we went in this video. Do you have any other theories, other predictions, different train of thought? Let me know in the comments. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.